I feel like I've been starting every video like this as of late, but the Pokemon card market is on fire. It seems every single day some of these ultra modern cards, even the sealed product, are hitting all time highs. It seems like it's going to continue to be very difficult to find product over the next few months. But even though a lot of sealed product and singles have been climbing, there are still some really good deals you can find if you know where to look. So in today's video, I'm going to go over a few cards that I think are really good pickups right now and that I can see growing in the near future. Alright, so I made a video similar to this a couple days ago, going over 5 sets that I think are really good to be purchasing right now. Kind of a similar idea here. I'm going to go over some singles. Some of the cards are from those sets mentioned. If you haven't watched that video, check it out. There's a little card up there on the screen. But anyways, card number 1 that I want to talk about is the Iron Crown Special Illustration Rare from Temporal Forces. This card is really nice. It was really popular on release. As you can see, it hit like 95 bucks. It had another little spike recently. It diminished in value to like 55, spiked up again to about 80, went down to 60 and seems to be climbing back. Right now, $63 I think is a really good price. This is a card that looks really good in person. I know it might not be the most popular Pokemon, but I do feel like it is very iconic for Temporal Forces. And I feel like it's going to be one of those cards people look back on and want to pick up for their collection. It does seem like everything is going up, so I feel like regardless, you're going to be making a little bit of money if you pick this up now. I could see this card shooting up to like 80 bucks, maybe even $90 in the next 3 to 6 months. Next up, Quaxly Illustration Rare from Paldea Evolved. I'm going to try to give you guys cards that aren't going to necessarily break the bank. Some cards are going to be like $5, $10, $20. A few of them might be closer to 100, but nothing is going to be, astronomical, over hundreds of dollars in price. Quaxly, I think, is a really good one. Obviously, this one has been gaining over the course of a year. It was as low as like $3.50. Right now, I think it's at its all-time high. Might have dipped a bit since release, but looking at the last year of data, right now the card is sitting at its high of $9.45. I think this card is going to continue going up. It's a Paldea starter. Quaxly, I feel like it's hard to determine what the best starter is. They all are, I guess, good enough. People clown on Quaxly. I do think this is kind of a silly Pokemon. My least favorite of the 3, but there are definitely Quaxly fans out there, and there are definitely people that are going to want to pick this card up in the future. I think under $10 is a great deal for it. Like I said, pretty much all the illustration rares are going up in value. Some of them are double, tripling, quadrupling in the course of like a week. This card could be 20 bucks in a week. We don't know. I do think it's a safe bet, though. I don't see this card really dipping below $5. If you take a $5 hit on it, not really the end of the world, but I think it's a good one to pick up. And I could see this, slowly going up over the course of the next year. Now, staying on Scarlet and Violet and illustration rares, I want to go with the Skarmory from Surging Sparks. A lot of people were talking about this card before the set released. Once it released, people kind of got distracted by Pikachu. A lot of the money and the value went towards those special illustration rares, and I guess the Latios card as well. Even though that one kind of spiked up and then just kind of dwindled away in value, it's still up there. I think it's still the most expensive illustration rare, but it's not as big as some of these other ones we've seen. Skarmory might stay stagnant around $15 to $20 for the next little while. I think if there's a Surging Sparks reprint, it's going to dip down a little bit, but I think long term this one's going to go up. I picked one up recently for, 15 Canadian or something like that. Pretty hyped on it. Looks pretty good in person. I do think a lot of people are going to like this one, and it's a great pickup. It's a little hard to find good buys in the Scarlet and Violet generation right now. I feel like a lot of cards have been jumping in price like crazy. Even looking at Shrouded Fable, a set everyone's clowning on, even now that the value's going up, people still say it's trash. Obviously, there's a lot more to a good Pokemon card set than just the value of the singles. But man, it seems like almost every single is on the rise. And you also have to remember there are some beautiful cards outside of the Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield era. Here is one that I think has really good potential as well. It is the Shiny Metagross GX full art promo from Hidden Fates, I believe. I think this came in one of those products with like the Ultra Ball or the Great Ball. I'm not 100% sure. I do know it is considered an alternate art promo though. It's not that expensive. I grabbed one maybe a year and a half ago for like 10 Canadian. It's gone up, not much, but over the course of the year, it's hit a low of about $8.25 and is now upwards of $13 going on $14. I was looking at some other Metagross cards. Of course, there aren't really too many crazy ones. I don't think we really got one other than a full art or a rainbow in the Sword and Shield era. We did get the illustration rare Metagross in Temporal Forces, but that one's kind of at its peak right now. I don't know if I'd really be picking it up. I'm a little bit worried about picking up these cards that have been spiking. Typically, once they go up a lot, they're going to go back down and correct themselves in the next couple of days. But this card hasn't really spiked a ton yet. It's up, $5 from where it was 3 months ago. Nothing crazy. We do know there's going to be a set coming up in the future with Marnie, Steven, and Cynthia. As we've seen with Team Rocket, N, Iono, Lily, like a lot of cards featuring those trainers and those trainers' Pokemon have been going up a lot in value in the last couple of weeks. I want to say Metagross has a chance of following the same pattern. There is another Shiny Metagross EX and Shiny Mega Metagross EX from the XY generation. There as well, alternate art promos. I think those ones have like doubled in price as of late, so this is a little bit safer to buy. I think it's a great one. I could see this going up to like $20, $30. And not just with like Steven being printed and probably a Steven's Metagross SIR card coming out in the future. If you look at Hidden Fates in general, the set is going up. The singles are going up. Every play I've made on Hidden Fates recently has gone up. I picked up the Shiny Espeon PSA 10 and the Shiny Rayquaza PSA 10 recently, and they've both gone up like 30% of what I paid. Of course, those are really popular Pokemon, but I think Metagross, especially the Shiny Metagross, there are fans out there for this card. It looks beautiful in person. I think it's a great pickup, even just for your personal collection. It's an awesome one to have. All right, and speaking of trainers, we've got some cards featuring Cynthia next. Cynthia is a really popular trainer. Of course, Garchomp is a popular Pokemon as well, so why not get a card with both of them? The Garchomp V Trainer Gallery card from Astral Radiance. Almost said Temporal Forces. I'm stuck on that set right now. Astral Radiance. This card's really nice. Of course, it's spiked. It's at its yearly high right now, sitting at about $65. It's a card I've been kind of keeping an eye on, a card I've been wanting to pick up. Didn't really expect it to double in value at this time, but it has. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit weary picking up cards that are at their peaks or have spiked up a lot recently. It's up 240% in the last year. That's incredible. But I feel like temporarily, this card is still going to go up. It might dip a little bit, but I think if you can pick this card up at like $60, by the time like May comes around, whenever we're going to get that set featuring Cynthia, we're going to see this card go up to like $80, maybe even $100. Obviously, that's just speculation. Don't take what I'm saying as like 100% that's going to happen. But I could definitely see it happening. I wouldn't be surprised. Looking at other cards a little bit older than this, the Reshiram and Zekrom GX full art, like alternate art, I guess it has N Reshiram Zekrom on it for like a long time. I think for like over a year, this card was going for $95, $90. And as soon as they announced Journey Together and N's Reshiram, this card exploded in price. It's going for about $202 right now. It seems like it's still going up. The graded copy, the PSA 9, went from like $100 to over $400 in the course of a couple months there. So even though Garchomp is $65, I would not be surprised if it hits $100, but I do think eventually it'll kind of die out a little bit. Another one featuring Cynthia that I think is way safer is Cynthia's Ambition from Crown Zenith. As we all know, the Crown Zenith singles and sealed product have been on the rise as of late. I made that video over the holidays saying, you should pick it up. It might be the last chance. Shout out PokeRev for putting me in that video recently, a clip of me talking about it's your last chance to get Crown Zenith. It was crazy to just be watching PokeRev and see myself on the channel. Amazing. Thanks PokeRev, thanks Axie for that. But Crown Zenith, man, there are still good plays in that set. Cynthia's Ambition is one of them. If you don't want to pay $65 for the Garchomp with Cynthia, you can get this one of Cynthia walking through the ruins with Gastrodon here. Again, really, really cool card. Only $13.50 right now. It's still going up. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a $20 card in the next week or two. It seems like it's been really consistent around $10 as well, so I feel like this is just the start. Like I said, Crown Zenith is now getting more expensive. A lot of those smaller singles, I'd imagine, are going to continue rising to meet with some of those middle range to higher range cards. And I think out of all the trainers, this one has a really good potential of seeing growth sooner than later. There is another print of this card in the Brilliant Stars Trainer Gallery, which could also be a good pickup. This card is up a lot right now. It's at its all-time high of about $10, but again, not that expensive when you think about it. It's gone from $3.50 to $10, so that's a huge increase. But at $10, I feel like there's still room for this one to grow. As soon as Brilliant Stars sells out, I think a lot of the singles are going to bump up a little bit in price, even though a lot of them have already been growing. And this is just another nice one. I think the Galarian Gallery Crown Zenith version is a little bit better. I don't know if it's necessarily more rare, but being like an alternate art, people might be more interested in than your typical full art trainer. But either way, both of those cards I think are really good pickups. I got a couple more cards for you here. We're going to start with some really, really cheap ones. I know we've all seen the news with, Jesse and James, like Giovanni. Any like Team Rocket card has just been going crazy in value. All these dark cards, anything associated with Team Rocket and like bad guys, it seems, is going up in price. Now, of course, I would not recommend going out and spending $60 on the Jesse and James card from Hidden Fates, especially considering you could get that card for like $10, $15 for a very long time, very easily. All of a sudden, it's boomed up. It makes sense why it's grown so much in value, but still, I don't think it's going to sustain at that value. There's a lot of them out there. But there is another card featuring Jesse and James that's a lot cheaper. The Here Comes Team Rocket card from Celebrations. There are other prints. You can get this in the original Team Rocket. I think there's a version in EX Rocket Returns as well, like a holo trainer card. But this card here, it's like a 50-cent card. I wouldn't be surprised if this is eventually like $1, $1.50, $2. I do think Celebrations cards have a really good shot at growing in the near future as well, with the 30th anniversary coming out. I think in general, Celebration singles are going to grow. I think this being a Team Rocket card, it's going to grow. Yeah, it's not a very expensive one, 50 cents. You could buy like 100 of these things, I don't really play around with vintage, but I think this is a really good option to get that vintage look and a card featuring Jesse, James, and Meowth at a really affordable price. Another card from Celebrations is the Rockets Zapdos. It does seem like we're going to be getting Rockets Pokemon, not Dark Pokemon, in whatever Team Rocket set we get. And again, this card's super cheap. It's like $2 to grab this card. It was sitting below $1 for the longest time. But man, it's a really cool card. Again, same reason with the last one. It's a Rockets card. It's a Celebrations card. I think there's two factors at play that would see this card go up a little bit. I feel like it's a safe buy, and again, not that expensive. Might be a cool one to grab a few copies of, maybe try to grade a 10. I don't think there's going to be much value behind a PSA 10 of this card, but still, for a budget collection or something like that, I think this is a really good card to pick up. Now, next up, I've got the final two cards. They are undervalued alternate arts from the Sword and Shield era, of course. I've talked about this one a few times. I've picked this one up finally. The Beedrill from Astral Radiance. Again, I think I mentioned this a little bit with that Garchomp. If I didn't, Astral Radiance is still in stock on the Pokemon Center. Once those build and battle kits are sold out, I think the singles are going to go up a little bit. Beedrill being an original 151 Pokemon, being an alternate art, being in a set that is on the brink of selling out at the Pokemon Center. There are a lot of things going for this card. Beautiful artwork as well. Like, this card looks amazing. I would not be surprised if this card jumps up in value. Right now, sitting at about $38. I could see this hitting 50, 60 bucks in the next 3 months. All right, now the final card of the video, we've got Arceus from Brilliant Stars. You know how much I love Brilliant Stars. I seem to talk about it in like every other video. Arceus is really nice, looks really good in person. Popular Pokemon and only $45 right now. It peaked over the last year at about 57 bucks, so it's still down from what it was at its high. You could have got it a lot cheaper at like $24. I think I picked it up for 40 Canadian maybe. It wasn't that expensive. And again, just like Astral Radiance, I think once Brilliant Stars sells out, this card is going to see some growth. It's already been steadily growing since September. It's doubled in price. But just like Beedrill, I wouldn't be surprised if this card hits like $60, maybe even $75 in the next 6 months to a year. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I want to say thank you to Joker Pilot and Malcolm Higgins for suggesting to make content on some singles to pick up right now. I try to make these videos every once in a while. It's always a fun one to make, but it was really difficult to find some good cards to pick up right now. I did manage to find enough that I think I'm going to make a second video more towards Rainbow Rares. So stay tuned, maybe subscribe if you're interested in seeing that in the coming weeks. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what card on this list is your absolute favorite. What one would you grab for your collection? I'd love to know. And that's going to be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.